Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you've had your lunch and you're equipped with a glass of water. I don't think you're allowed to bring coffee in anyway, but you're ready for the next session, which promises to be a really good one. Good afternoon. I'm Tom Butcher of the Zero Project. I'm a white male, balding, running to fat in his mid-60s. I'm wearing a green Zero Project Essl Foundation tie and a rather loud green tweed coat. I'm both honoured and sad to be chairing this meeting, not least because our dear friend Jyrki Pomona of Inclusion Europe has, for medical reasons, not been able to join us today, and we wish him well going forward. Since I have nothing like Jyrki's authority and knowledge, I'm going to keep my introduction and words as short as possible and leave talking to my esteemed panel of experts who you can see ranged down to my left, who, with their projects, are all awardees of the Zero Project. However, before we start, I have one dire warning. I'm usually a mild-mannered sort of chap, but, and it's a big but, I'm absolutely ferocious when it comes to timekeeping. And I have Lisa there in front of me who will be helping me out. Each of our panelists has 8 minutes to present her or his project, and 8 minutes it will be no more, no less. And I will cut you off if you are longer. You have been warned. So to business. In our session today, entitled Supporting Persons with Psychosocial Disabilities in Serious Distress, we will be presenting community-based models that successfully help keep people with psychosocial disabilities out of institutions and away from the vulnerability of homelessness. Our solutions today cover a huge geographical area, from the US in the west to India in the east, with Spain, Israel, and Austria somewhere in the middle. You will have noticed that I used the word solutions. I do so judiciously. This is because solutions is what binds all these projects together. Wherever they are, they all provide solutions in one way, means, or form. Solutions that help support persons with psychosocial disabilities in severe distress. So, without further ado, I shall introduce our esteemed panelists in the order in which they will be presenting, and then I will hand over to Claudia to start. But first, Claudia PAUZENBERGER of Promente, an NGO based in Upper Austria, yes, who is to my left there. And then second, we have Cristina GISBERT and Ferran BLANCO ROS of the Institute Asistencia Sanitaria in Girona region in Spain. And then to their left, we have Eddy BORRAYO of the Rincon Family Services, an NGO based in my home country. It doesn't sound like it, I know, Chicago in the USA. Fourth, we have Kavita NAIR of the BAPU Trust here from Pune in India. And last but not least, right down at the end, we have Tal ROKACH of ENOSH, the Israeli Mental Health Association. As I said, each panelist will have 8 minutes to present. And following their presentations, if we have time, then we might be able to have a wee panel discussion. I've got some questions for them, and after we've exhausted those, which might be difficult, then we might have time for some questions from the floor. So, without further ado, Claudia, as I say, take it away, please.
Thank you.
Can you press your button?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the invitation. We are very pleased to present our special hotel concept to you today. My name is Claudia PAUZENBERGER, and I'm responsible for sales and marketing at Hotel Wesenufer. Hotel Wesenufer is the first and still the only inclusion hotel in Austria. offering active social work combined with a high level of service. The hotel is situated in Upper Austria between Passau, that's on the border to Austria, belongs to Germany, and Linz, placed near the quite famous Schlögener Schlinge. So the hotel is situated in a quiet location nearby the Danube in the countryside. And all public areas in the hotel are fully accessible. I forgot to show you some picture of our hotel. So, well, the hotel offers 49 rooms, 5 seminar rooms, an event hall, a restaurant, a small wellness area, and a mini market to provide the regional population with groceries and daily necessities. We work sustainably and are awarded with the Austrian Eco-label and with the EU Eco-label. The main target group are seminar guests. We belong to the best seminar hotels in Austria, who have already received several awards for that. And in addition to that, we are also very known as a wedding destination. The hotel is part of Promente, a non-profit organization based in Upper Austria. And Promente Upper Austria supports people in psychosocially difficult situations. Persons with psychological disabilities in rural areas often lack on support structures, as well as opportunities for training and employment. That's why Promente initiated the hotel in order to offer people with psychosocial disabilities meaningful and those health-promoting and inclusive employment opportunities. And as I mentioned before, it is a medium-sized seminar hotel, including also a mini market. Besides about 40 permanent employees, we employ persons with psychological and psychosocial disabilities. We train and support them in a multi-professional manner, often leading to a full employment. And in times of labor shortage and beyond, we are doing our best to provide well-trained employees. So. Since our start in 2008, we have doubled the number of employees with disabilities from 20 to 54. And this was possible due to the expansion of our hotel capacities in 2013. So 2008, we started with 15 rooms, 5 conference rooms, a restaurant, and now we offer 49 rooms with a total of 96 beds. Hotel Wesenufer is the first and only hotel in Austria that offers this model of employment, skills development, and support to persons with psychosocial disabilities. Hotel Wesenufer offers 7 work models to persons with psychosocial disabilities, including vocational trainings, apprenticeships, or temporary and permanent jobs. The employees work in all areas of the hotel, such as service, kitchen, housekeeping, seminar support, or in the mini market. And during this time, they develop their professional and social skills. And an interdisciplinary team of social workers, pedagogues, and personal coaches support them, all of whom also offer life skill trainings, such as personal hygiene. And temporary workers and apprentices often go to be hired as permanent employees. The hotel is 75% self-financed by revenues from the hotel and restaurant. And the remaining 25% is covered by public sector clients, such as the state of Upper Austria and the Public Employment Service of Austria. For the purchase of service, as the training courses within the different employment models are called. So with the hotel, Promente aims to further promote the employment of persons with psychosocial disabilities in a decent service industry jobs and to raise awareness of its model. Well, and the project can be replicated in other locations in Austria, also abroad, as long as it is adapted to the local context and provides specialist support. Yes, and this year we celebrate our 15th anniversary, and we are looking forward to the next exciting years in our Inclusion Hotel. Well, we would be very happy to welcome you at the Hotel Wesenufer in the near future. Maybe it's possible. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Claudia, and absolutely spot on time. And congratulations, 15 years. That's really cool. Anyway, over now to Cristina, please, and Ferran to tell us about your project.
What? Okay. Thank you, Zero Project, for inviting us. We are going to introduce the Open Space Service. I am Cristina GISBERT, psychiatrist, a 58 white woman with blonde hair. We are two people talking because this project is shared between two institutions. Like Caroline said this morning, work together is the power. We have started Girona Deinstitutionalization strategy, and we have closing new admissions in long-term psychiatric unit in 2004. You can see the two pictures. In one, you can see the old psychiatry buildings, and in the other side, you can see the general hospitals and the new building. This is a map of the public mental health network on the Girona region. We have a lot of resources located in the countryside. We have 7 adult mental health centers, 7 childhood youth mental health centers, 7 early psychosis intervention teams, etc., etc. You can see the map. And we are going to talk about the open space. It's a service created in 2017, located in Essl, very close to the General Hospital, and the mental health acute and subacute unit. Essl and Girona have 150,000 inhabitants. This service is open from Monday to Friday, 8 to 8, and weekends only a few hours in the morning. 1 year ago, it was open 8 to 3 p.m. The workers is a mixture of nurses, nurse assistants, social educators, social workers, and occupational therapists from the public mental health service and from Support Girona. This is a public and private cooperation. This is the innovation of the service. If you want to go far, let's go together, Ferran. Support Girona runs the whole building where the service is located. 3-story building where people in need of support live. The service is on the ground floor with basic commodities. Living room, bathroom, dining room, kitchen, laundry, basic health care. They can come just for take a shower, for take food. Why is this service needed? Because the public mental health network sometimes is rigid and normative. Some people left out of the system. There is no flexibility in the system, and these people have continuous readmissions in the hospital. Sometimes we say to people, come 9 to 12, 3 times in a week, and if they don't come, it's the people who left out the system. Who attends the service? Person with a diagnosis of psychosocial disability, usually with substance abuse or behavior problems. Person with no relationship or connection with the public mental health or social service. Person with low adherence to medical treatment. Or person living in infrahousing situation, pensions, re-rented room, squatters, or living in the street. And now my colleague Ferran Blanco is going to continue.
Thank you, Cristina. For those who cannot see me, I'm a 37-year-old white male, bald, and wearing a navy blue jacket and a blue tie for the second time in my life. And yes, how does this service work? First of all, it is a voluntary service, meaning that no one is coerced or forced to go there. It's accessed through a referral document addressed to professionals, and the person only needs to sign a basic term of service with very basic rules. For example, and rules that are non-contingent on standard service compliance, but only very basic rules. For example, that the person cannot actively consume drugs in the service, in the premises, cannot disrespect professionals, or cannot engage in fights with other service users. How does it work also? We also establish a minimum co-payment for the service in order to work on individual responsibility. Nothing is free in this life, you know that. And of course, this payment is adjustable to the situation of every person, of each individual. And the maximum that a person has to pay is 100 euros a month, which is quite low, if you ask me. And also talking about impact of this service. What we've noticed after the service is running since 2017 is that the number of persons using institutionalized and residential settings has decreased, has dropped by incredible numbers, and the number of persons living at their own home has significantly increased. That, in terms of statistics, means that when the person entered analytically, at the beginning, only 16% were living at home, and after they left the service, that is minimum to 8 to 12 months attending the service, 72% of them are living in their own home, in a shared flat, or in some type of facility that they consider their own, meaning that the homelessness situations, residential settings, or living in hostels or similar arrangements has also decreased, and also involuntary placements in the acute and subacute units of the hospitals, which is also another factor. Some pictures of service users in the service. Here we can see, well, people working on basic everyday living skills, so just cooking, doing laundry, also working on digital skills, which is an essential skill in our modern societies, in our modern world, and also in social relationships, working in playing some type of game with other service users. What we have learned after these 6 years, we have learned that at the beginning, and still, but to a minor degree, there was some community resistance to the service, particularly neighbors complaining that were strange people attending this service, and they were confused about it. No? This has led to an active dialogue between different stakeholders, between the city council, between social services, within law enforcement agencies, of course, and with Support Girona and with the public mental health network provider, no? To explain the project and how does it work. This has improved a lot, this community resistance and this dialogue between the different stakeholders. And also we have noticed that the service has contributed to bridge the gap between the health services and social services. And as Cristina said, no? Activating and coordinating resources, it's easy when it's done together, and it works more efficiently and overall better. And in terms of transferability, and that is the last one, we know for a fact, and it was announced yesterday, that the Catalan Department of Health wants to open this resource across all Catalonia, and incorporate it as a resource, accredited resource in the mental health network as a service. This is part of the closing the admissions in long-term units in Catalonia, and it's part also of a new law that the government is working on that also encompasses bridging together the health department and the social department, which is the way forward, or at least the way that the Catalan government has considered that it's essential to go. And that's all. And please don't hesitate to engage with us in conversation, to explain a little bit how the service, or we will be happy to have this conversation. Thank you.
Great. Cristina. Cristina, Ferran, thank you very much indeed. That was absolutely great. And I think the really important thing about their project is the bridging the gap and providing services which is essentially outside the system. And I think that's probably one of the most important points. And now, from Chicago, Illinois, I hand over to Eddy. Eddy, take it away, please.
Well, good afternoon, buenas tardes to all the Zero Project attendees and for those that are watching us in the World Wide Web. My name is Eddy Borrayyo. I'm the president and CEO of Rincon Family Services. I'm a middle-aged Latino male, brown complexion, black hair and beard, glasses, wearing a blue suit and white shirt and a pink tie. Very honored to be here talking about our organization, which is in 1972 was founded, and we're celebrating 50 years of excellence. Today we're looking at our living room program, which is a peer-to-peer program in Chicago, Illinois. It is 100% staffed by bilingual Spanish-speaking and English-speaking staff. Its impact has been very remarkable because it is serving those individuals that are suffering from severe mental health or addictions in a space that is holistic and grounded in respect and dignity to the person. It is really looked at to seeing individuals as guests, a living room. It is nuestra sala, and where individuals are able to come in at any time for any reason, to be able to have a space to give them this opportunity to process emotions in a way that is with dignity and respect. The space itself, it's geared to address all the major disabilities according to the American with Disability Act that looks at the wheelchair accessibility, hearing impairments, individuals that need sign language. Those services will be provided. The impact has been very dramatic since its onset in 2019, where we served 254 individuals. During 2020, at the onset of COVID-19, the living room was a pillar and an oasis in the city of Chicago, where there's a lot of individuals suffering from emotional distress. They were able to come in or engage our staff through telephone or virtually. Then we were able to serve 322 individuals, all the way to 2020, where we're already serving 578 individuals. The concept is very simple, very basic. It's really how do we break the stigma of mental health, and how do we create access to mental health by empowering, training, and hiring peer-to-peer recovery support specialists. The innovation, it is breaking the stigma. It is really looking at the model that is a part of a hub and spoke approach that we have at the organization, where the program's embedded within our mental health, our substance use treatment, our child welfare, our violence prevention and intervention, our education and training, our immigration advocacy and integration, and workforce. All these programs are integrated in a seamless process where any individual from the living room are able to be provided these services at any time. The space itself is also geared to meet the individuals at any point of their engagement, having a shower and a washing machine available at any time. A meditation room where you're able to have a spa kind of like experience. A library where you'll find educational books for empowerment and self-growth. And a gaming room, another way of really engaging individuals to meeting their individual needs. Scalability, we've been able to see this project not only scale within the organization in our sister affiliate organization, Duane Dean Behavioral Health in Kankakee, Illinois, where we have this same program and is making a big impact, but as well as within our Illinois Welcoming Center, where it's a program that provides services to new refugees from Venezuela and afar, and where we're able to embed behavioral health professionals within the aspect. And now we're creating living rooms on nuestras salas in many homes across Chicago. The best practice is very similar, very basic. It is really training and empowering individuals with lived experience to become peers, to be able to empower and educate families across the city of Chicago. We're continuing to expand these services as we speak. When I return back into Chicago, we will be expanding these services in in other programs. Thank you so much for your time and your attention.
Thank you so much, Eddy. I really appreciate that. I think what you're doing is absolutely fascinating. And now, closer to me is Kavita, who is going to tell you about the BAPU Trust. Kavita. Yes. We're just getting a zapper. Hold on.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us here today in this panel. I'm Kavita NAIR from India. I'm board member with the BAPU Trust for Research on Mind and Discourse. I'm 45-year-old woman, black hair, wearing reading glasses. I'm wearing a pink top with a black jacket and a gray scarf. So in the BAPU Trust, we have been working for the past 23 years in psychosocial disability inclusive development. Our goal has been transforming communities for inclusion. Today, I'll be sharing with you about our SEHER program, which has very specific strategies to support people in serious distress. When we say serious distress, we mean persons in crisis, persons who are at risk of being institutionalized, or people who are already within institutions. We understand serious distress as that time in the person's life when they face a high restriction in participation and undergo rights violations. Our support interventions are designed precisely to address these. When someone is in serious distress, one, we take steps to prevent their institutionalization, to stop them from being institutionalized, and two, when a person is already within an institution, we enable pathways for them to come out of the institutional setting into open community settings of their choice. We have 3 core strategies to do this. The first one is to develop community-based support systems. We develop strong and robust support systems around the person. We call it the person's circle of care. Family, friends, neighbors, peers, and informal networks of support people are a part of the circle of care. Befriending the person, supporting the person by being present and being available with them, enabling supported decision-making, doing self-care practices with the person, using alternative ways of communicating with the person are specific support interventions offered to the person when they are experiencing serious distress. These actions are taken by different actors in the person's circle of care. Forgot this. Yeah. The second strategy is to ensure that the person receives community-based support services when they are in serious distress. We set up a neighborhood lookout system and put a safety plan in place so that the person is not violated and forced. We develop a support beat in the person's vicinity. Bystander ethics and community justice meetings are done where community members are mobilized to dialogue and negotiate with the family. In the community justice meetings, we have participation from the local police, government officials, community leaders, and volunteers to put moral pressure on the family to support the person and ensure their choice, decision, and agency. The third strategy is to ensure that the person continues to have access to mainstream services throughout the period of serious distress. For instance, having access to housing or safe shelter, having access to food and fluids, health services where required, retaining employment when they are in crisis, having access to social protection schemes and benefits. All of this is done through setting up community-based partnerships. We have reached in the last, between 2017 to 2022, our outreach has been 800,000 in 5 years, working in 30 low-income communities. About 1,000 people in serious distress have received our support. We have 460 people were in crisis, 54 people were stopped from being institutionalized, and 94 people were offered crisis with mobilization of the community networks, using all of the above strategies. All the services were provided free of charge. We have replicated the model in 3 states of India in partnership with 10 development organizations, reaching to 57 villages and 12 low-income urban communities. I want to share the story of a person we met during the course of our work in low-income communities. We know him as Sada. When we met Sada, he was wandering on the streets of Pune city. He was speaking to himself, laughing to himself. Through community-based support systems, we set up foster care arrangements for him to have safe housing for as long as he wished. Neighbors were mobilized to bring him food, daily essentials and clothing. A friendship circle was set up around him. He was part of a peer support group of people in serious distress. He used to wander randomly throughout the day, so we set up a safety plan and a support beat around him. This and many other interventions at the time helped Sada cross over the crisis period. Through experiences like Sada and many others, we have realized that when an enabling environment is built around the person, then they have a chance and then inclusion becomes possible. The program is largely funded by grant support. In India, it costs us 45,000 euros annually to reach around 200,000 population. The main struggle with funding is that our model is non-psychiatric, it is community-based. There are rare funders investing in disability-inclusive development, community projects in mental health. The program is sustainable because we follow a cost-sharing practice along with the partners that we work with. Next steps in the program is we will be innovating designs for more inclusive services, adding on elements for building resilience, trauma-informed services. We will be setting up a community federation, doing a lot more government partnerships, and scaling the program through training-based implementation partnerships. You can look up our work at www.baputrust.com. We are also doing a replication pitch in M2 from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. today. Please join us. Thank you.
Kavita, thank you so much. Incredibly impressive. And last but not least, Tal, are you down there? Tal, over to you.
Okay. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Tal ROKACH. I wear a blue with flowers head cover, and sometimes I wear glasses. I'm the Director of Supportive Employment Services at ENOSH, the Israeli Mental Health Association. I want to present you ENOSH Ma'of Entrepreneurship Program. Ma'of is in Hebrew, and it means from a bird's eye, horizon, inspiration. Here is Karen. She is 26, and she lives in a small village in Israel. She was going through a mental health crisis and struggled to graduate as a vet tech. After graduation, her mental health suffered. She is now recovering and found it difficult to get into the labor market and find a job. With many intensive shifts and long working hours, this has really deteriorated her mental health, so she needed to resign. So then she got the help of a social worker who told her about the Ministry of Health, the basket of rehabilitation for people with psychosocial disabilities. And she was introduced her to us here at ENOSH. Karen came to our rehabilitation committee. She was both nervous and excited. She wasn't really sure what to express. What does she want? How to share her dreams? Can she have an opportunity to flourish and be proactive in the labor market? And she did. She applied and she joined our MAOF program. It provides support for entrepreneurs who wish to open a business. We do that by providing both financial coaching and personal case manager together. Karen met with her coach every week. He helped her to build a financial program. The case manager helped her with the recovery mental health program. That's a way to include her financial goals and her recovery goals. Karen had a dream, and it came true. Opening Karnina, a grooming center for dogs. Karen opened a business. She now works on her own terms and increases her income. And most importantly, she does things that she likes, that give her strength and joy, even when she has a poor mental state. Let's show, I will show you a short video about MAOF. Just a minute. What about the, just a minute.
ENOSH MAOF program is a unique initiative that aims to change the reality of people with psychosocial disabilities who wish to open and hold a business in the free labor market. The program is funded and supervised by the Israeli Ministry of Health.
I was a vet tech for about 5 years. I was just so exhausted that I wanted to find some sort of other side job just so that I could work a little bit less in the hospital and also spend more time with my dog. I already had a rehabilitation basket that I'm getting from the government, and when I decided to open up a business, my social worker contacted MAOF, and then we just got started.
Our unique program model provides mental health recovery support and business coaching that, together with peer support and other training, provide the needed foundation for business owners.
With MAOF, I'm getting a personal coach that helped me reach my business goals. I also have a case manager that helped me with more emotional aspects.
MAOF really helped me while working through all the difficulties of opening a business, especially with my mental health situation.
MAOF gave me a place to share my thoughts, my fears, my experiences.
Through the process in MAOF, I feel like I have more courage to do things and have more confidence in myself, even when it comes to things that aren't anything to do with the business.
To date, we have transformed the lives of more than 500 people in the MAOF network. And now we want to bring our impact to the next stage.
MAOF gave me a fair chance to succeed on my own.
Thank you. So as part of MAOF services, can you bring my presentation again? Okay. So as part of MAOF services, we develop entrepreneurship hubs. which is an additional layer of support group sessions to support and train our participants in the different stages of opening a business. So for Karen, that meant meaningful exposure to people like her who are interested in being self-employed and need additional support to succeed. Once a year, Karen meets with a personal accountant provided by ENOSH that gives her technical support with the annual tax reports. And you know what? It is so exciting to see how the reports show Karen's financial growth each year. Let's look at the process in MAOF from the business coach's point of view. You can see here one of the MAOF's coaches, who is an excellent business coach, but didn't have much understanding and knowledge about mental health and disability. We have helped this person grow in her role so that she can participate meaningfully in our group orientations and have some understanding with the support of a case manager who is professional in the mental health field. So what are the benefits of the MAOF program and what is our impact and success? Although MAOF is an employment program, the impact of it is not just improving the financial situation, but instead to see how the program can improve different life aspects that support independent living in their community. Karen and other participants report that they are improving their ability to cope with challenges, to develop new relationships and use the networks. They improve personal and marketing skills. They meet other peers and learn from each other. They improve their mental health status, and the flexibility makes the labor market more accessible to everyone. To this date, 504 people are in the MAOF network. They all dream of opening a business and succeed in opening one. But besides the business aspect, they all improved their independence, self-efficacy, and relationships. We can see the impact of MAOF on their personal and wider social levels. MAOF is part of ENOSH, the Israeli Mental Health Association's mental health services. ENOSH is the largest community-based organization in Israel which promotes the rights of people with psychosocial disabilities and their families for more than 45 years. The person-centered approach led us to create a holistic, integrative approach to service delivery which enables us to provide supporting housing, employment, social life, and recreation, different aspects of life to live fully with a meaningful life. I invite you all to connect us and see how the MAOF model can be relevant to your work, because mental health is everyone's story.
Tal, thank you very much indeed. We've got a few minutes, and I've got some questions that two particular questions that I'm going to ask the panel. I don't know whether any of you knew that MAOF is the Hebrew word for vision, courage, and imagination, and I think that's applicable to the projects of everybody to my left. I think they're incredibly, incredibly impressive. And I was talking with them beforehand, and I said, I'm not going to hit you with some really nasty questions. I'm going to just ask each one of you two very, very simple questions, and I'm going to do it in order from my left going down, which is in one sentence for the first question, and one sentence for the second question, which is, first, what's the most important thing you've learnt on your journey to where you are now? And second, what's the most important thing you'd like to share with the audience? So, Kavita, over to you.
So the first one, the most important learning, is that people are naturally supportive and caring. Sometimes they don't know how to do this, but there are ways to learn and relearn. So that has been the most important learning for me. The second one is in context of work. I think the most important learning there is when the CRPD, Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, meets the Sustainable Development Goals, only then true inclusion becomes possible.
Great, thank you very much. Short, sharp, to the point there. Claudia.
Well, for us it was important that it is not only a hotel, it's a social project, and to speak about the social project is very, very important for us. to make it visible, yes. And second, yeah, it's very, very important for people with psychosocial disabilities that they have something to do, that they have a work, that they feel worth just do something. It's very, very important.
Thank you very much indeed. And both of you can answer. Christina, first, yes. You.
I think the lesson that we have learned is, I repeat, work together is the power. I'm sure that for the public network, Mental Health of Girona, has learned a lot about Support Foundation, and we are better with them. And for Support Foundation, they have learned for us, and they are better. And we have created a service for these people that always is out of the service. And we have probably working together, we are very creative, and we have made something that the public system never exists, and now the mental health of Catalonia wants to do in every place, no? This is, I think, the first lesson.
Just to complement what Dr. Cristina said, which I completely agree, I think that we need to reflect on the motto, think global, act local, no? And it's like Kavita said, no? We need to be aware of the Sustainable Development Goals on the UN CRPD as the macro policies that guide our action and our intervention, but we also need to do something locally to implement that. And I think that this collaboration and this service it's a service that reflects that approach and that way of thinking.
Great, thank you very much. Eddy.
Well, part of the journey in everybody's life, and especially as we look at our project and what we've been hearing here, it's like resiliency, advocacy, and education. That is the core to everything that we're doing as an organization, but also the experiences that we see from our participants or our guests at our living room or even our staff, where their stories, their experiences has impacted and transformed not only individuals, a city, but a country, and where there is no health without mental health. So it is that spirit of resiliency that if we could build upon, it will be a better world.
Thank you, Eddy. Tal, I'm going to spare you having to answer the question.
Yes, I think that what I've learned most of all is that we have to work together and learn from each other. And I will be happy to share our knowledge from ENOSH. And I think that we can learn from other places on the world and to be a better world.
Great. Oh, good Lord. Thank you very much indeed. So that comes to the end of our absolutely wonderful panels, wonderful presentations. I just kind of noted down a couple of things, which I'll use to conclude. Just some characteristics, I think, of all of these projects. And I think they're an interesting mixture. First is the huge importance of physical space. But then associated with physical space is the fact that it has to provide a safe environment, and around that, both physically, spiritually, and mentally, or howsoever, there has to be a community. And the community provides both the support, the safety, and I think probably of prime importance, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, all of these projects work on the basis of trust, and just how incredibly important it is for there to be the trust between the providers and the users, and really between everybody else. And then something which came out, and I think is probably a challenge for all of us, specifically in this area, and I think it was evidenced in Tal's presentation, is the whole issue of customization. That there is no one solution fits all. We're all individuals, and in order for us to go forward in the world, as individuals. We need to provide individual care, we need to receive individual care. And I think that's where the challenge lies, because it can be time-consuming, it can be expensive, it can be challenging, you need to train people, but unless you have the customization, I think it's quite difficult to go where you want to go. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up now so that the people after us can actually get on stage and start on time. And I would just like to say one last thank you to you all, panel. It's great. And thanks very much to all of you for coming along and listening to these absolutely tremendous people. So please raise your hands. And one fat Brit will sign off now.